हेलो गुड मॉर्निंग टू एवरीवन. हेलो हेलो. आई एम गुड. आप लोग कैसे हो? सो गुड. ओके, एम आई ऑडिबल टू एवरीवन? जस्ट अ क्विक चेक. एम आई ऑडिबल टू एवरीवन? अंकुर, निधि, गायत्री, एम आई ऑडिबल? एम आई ऑडिबल टू एवरीवन? प्लीज लेट मी नो. ओके धीरज, आई गॉट. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Perfect. So today is one of the very exciting days in this JavaScript session, because today we are going to create our first project. Like last time we created a little assignment of showing and hiding password, right? So today we are going to create a complete project, like whatever we can do the best with JavaScript. So we are going to do it today. So I have two options for you. I have two assignments in my mind. So one thing is we can create a complete, let's say, a student management or a person or anything like a superhero management system. So where we can add superheroes, where we can delete them, where we can update them. So one thing is that. And the second is a very basic shopping system where we can see products and add to cart. So please let me know in the chat that like what should we create today. And I'll zoom it. I'll zoom it. Don't worry. It will be clear when I zoom it. So I want your answers. Which one of two do you want today? A complete management system for anything, or a basic product management shopping system? CRUD. Okay, that's great. You want the CRUD. Okay, let's not fight. What we'll do is that mini game idea is very good actually. If we can cover canvas, we'll also create it if we can. Okay, fine. So I have decided to create both, one for today and one for in the next lecture, maybe in next or maybe after the next one. And I have already decided that today's project, that is the CRUD application, that is the management system. So no need to fight. So this is what we are going to create. Ria, what is CRUD? Everyone who does not know what is CRUD, CRUD basically reads create, read, update, delete. Basically, any application that has a create operation where you can create something, add something, view everything, update something, and delete something. That is CRUD. So you can say any application in this world is basically a CRUD application until and unless it is static. For example, Facebook is again a CRUD. It's like quite big, but it's CRUD. You can add post, you can delete, you can update, you can view everything. So everything in this world is basically a CRUD application at first, any dynamic application. So whatever we have learned so far, we are going to use everything and create a CRUD application for today. Okay, so I hope everyone is ready. Should we start with it? Yes, Dheeraj, you're right. CRUD is basic. You should understand how to create, read and update, delete everything. Right now, we are going to learn how to create a basic CRUD application in JavaScript. And remember this thing that right now we don't have a permanent storage because we are learning JavaScript. So right now we don't have any kind of database or any kind of file system to store our data permanently. But I'll let you know how to do that in JavaScript by using local storage. So last topic of today will be understanding local storage, or whenever it is required, we'll learn that. So let's start with it. So let's do it. So let's say we are trying to create, you can do anything. You can create a student management system. You can create a teacher management system. You can create anything. You can create Facebook post system. You can do anything. So let's say we are just going to create a superhero management system. Just like that. You can do anything. It only depends on what kind of data you take. So we are going to create a superhero management system for today. So let's start with it. So we're going to use everything that we have learned and few new things. So please focus and let's start learning. But last class you said we'll go with the pop. Yes. We'll also create timers. But let's first complete this project. I have set interval and set timeout, everything in my mind for tomorrow. So we'll learn everything. Don't worry about it. Okay, so let's start. So let's start by creating a basic object, basic array first, where we are going to store all our data. So right now, the database that we are going to use is basically a basic JavaScript array. So let's start with it. So I'm just going to create let superheroes equals a very basic array, very basic blank array. So the first thing that we are going to do is learn how to view our data. So what we'll do is, before adding any kind of data, the first thing that we'll do is learn how to view the data that is already present inside my HTML table. So let's start. So let's have some dummy data by default. So I'll create few objects by default, and you will understand an object and everything because we have done it in last two lectures. So let's start with it. So let's say name, right? We have age. So these are the keys that I'm using. Then I also have, let's say, planet. So you can take any keys. So if it is a student management system, you can take name, age, class, subject, and everything. So it completely depends on your personal data. You can do anything. Yes, Purvi, I'll go step by step. Don't worry. Just focus on everything. Just focus. So guys, please try to understand everything. So I'll also take planet, and I can, one more thing I can take is let's say height. I don't know anyone's height properly, but let's say I'll take height. So I'll take height, and let's say if my age is number, so I'll take age is number, properly number. So I'll take height as in a string. So I'll take 6.3. That's all. Fine. Size of the font, I think it's already increased a bit. Okay, that's fine now. Vedashri, is this good for you? Okay, fine. So let's say by default I have data. This is just a very basic dummy data that I'm creating right now. And finally, okay. Perfect. So I have three very basic dummy data right now here with me. Fine. I hope everyone understands this now because we have already understood objects in last two lectures. So I hope everyone understands this, how I have created this. Is object creation clear to everyone? Just please let me know in the chat. Just say yes if you understand everything, right? Okay. Now I'll go inside my HTML. I'll just create few divs and style them so that we can, and I'll also run this page right now. So I'll open my Chrome. Here's my Chrome, right? So I'll just copy the file path to run. Copy path. Run this thing here. Perfect. So let's start. Let's start creating. So I hope everyone learned a little bit of HTML, CSS in the lectures. Because I had those decimal points in that, so I just like, if I say 5.3, it's actually not 5 decimal 3. It's actually not 5.3. It's actually 5 feet and 3 inches. So that's why I took it as a string, right? So let's start. So div, I'll just create some very basic division structure first. So I'll say data, right? I hope everyone learned a little bit of HTML and CSS. So I think everyone will understand this. I'm writing a very basic styling here. So I have a div which has a class data. So first what I'll do is I'll just apply something to my body is margin 0 pixel so that it doesn't have any margin or padding by default. So by default, few elements in my page, few elements in HTML by default have some kind of margin or some kind of padding. So what I'm doing is I'm saying body, like by default, my body has some margin. So I'm saying body, please don't have any margin. Please make your margin 0 pixel by default. So I said there are more elements that can have this property. Kurma's, why should object, like to differentiate that one object has ended and second object has started. That's why we have comma, just like we have full stop and semicolon for that thing. Fine. So as I said, there are more elements that can have by default some kind of margin or padding. So I want all the elements, like all the elements should not have any kind of margin or padding at start. So instead of body, I'll write asterisk, that is star. Star means it is a universal selector that basically means all the elements. So I've written star that basically means all the elements. So now all the elements by default will have margin 0 and padding 0. So nothing applied by default. So I can start everything from 0. So dot data, because it is a class, so I'm using dot. Let's say I have a height of 500 pixels. So whenever you're learning CSS, try to always give width in percentage. It will help you in responsiveness. So please asterisk. Okay, fine. So as I said, that if I write, like there are a lot of elements which have some kind of margin or padding by default, right? So I don't want anyone to have margin or padding, right? So like let's say there is one element that has it, that is body. So I wrote body here, right? So what will happen now? Body will not like do anything else. It will have by default margin of 0 pixel, padding of 0 pixel. But I said there are more elements that have this property, have some margin by default and have some padding by default. So I want each and every element that I'm going to create should not have any kind of margin or padding by default. So instead of just writing body, like if I know elements, if I know 5 elements, I have to write 5 elements. If I know 10 elements, I have to write 10 elements. So I'm saying that every element should have margin 0 and padding 0. That's why I'm writing star. Star means universal selector, that basically means it selects all the elements that I'm going to write. All the elements that I'm going to write in my HTML page. Yes, exactly. Asterisk, it's everywhere, it means everything. So in different languages, it means everything. If you're using in SQL, you're saying basically select all the columns. If you're using in Java, select all the classes. Here it is select all the elements. Is it clear here to you? Is it clear? Okay, that's amazing. Fine. So I'm just saying width of 70%, right? And I'm just giving it a background color, a very basic background color, so that at least we can see it, right? So for now, I'll just give it a very basic red, and let's see the output now. Okay, now I can see it here, very basic output. I'll just give it 80%. 70 is a little less for now. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to adjust it in center. So margin. So if width is 80, so I'll just give it margin left of 10%. So it is adjusted in center properly, right? That's perfect. And margin top of 100 pixels. Let's not say 100, let's say 50 for now. Okay, perfect. I'll just remove this red after some time. Don't worry about it. Okay. So now I'll have a very basic. Okay, first of all, I'll inside my font family here. So inside whatever it is inside data should have a font family. Joe UI. Okay. The font family, it is available in your PC, so don't worry about it. If I give margin auto, then like I actually want to in future I want to create some elements that can have custom margins. So I also want to work with left and right and everything. So that's why I'm not giving margin auto. Nipple. Yes, I can give margin auto. It's not a problem. I just want everything customized for now. Fine. So I'll just create an H1 now. I'll say superheroes, right? Very simple title. Very simple superhero title here. And instead of red, I'll just give it a little white kind of thing. So you can also give colors like this in terms of RGB. And if you don't want to do this, you can just remove it for now. And just give it a little gray color. That also is fine. Or you can say light gray. Okay, that's perfectly fine. And I also want to give data a little bit of padding so that everything comes in a little away from the border. So I'll just give it padding of 20 pixels from every side. Okay, now that's perfect. So like you can design it anyways, not a problem. Let's doing it very basic. Now, in here goes my table. Here I'll have data, like all the data for my table. So let's start. So let's get a very basic table here. So I'll just say table, right? Don't know why it's misbehaving a little. I'll have a table, right? Inside it, I'll have a T head that is basically my heading part, and a T body. That's my body. So inside head, I'll have my first row, that is all my column names. So TR, and then I have a TH tag that can show my heading. So I'll have a serial number. So I'll say SR number. Then I have what are the properties that I have? I have name, age, planet, handle. So I have 4 properties. So I'll need 4 extra columns. So I have a name column, right? Then I also have a age column. I have a planet column. And finally, I have a, what was in the last? I think it was height. Okay, fine. So height column. That's perfect. Let's see the output once if it is working. Okay, that's perfect. Let's give some border to the table. So I'll just go here and write border of 1, right? Okay, T head is used for heading actually. So even if you don't use T head, it's not a problem here. It's totally fine if you don't use T head. But we usually, it is like a standard to create for the heading columns. You always create a T head. So, and you can put all your heading rows and columns inside T head, and in your T body column, you put all your data. So it's a standard. If you don't use it, it's not a problem. But it is just a standard to maintain T head and T body. Because let's say if you don't create T head or T body and just directly create everything inside table. So by default, everything is considered as a T body. By default, everything is considered as a part of T body. So I don't want my headings to be considered inside T body. So that's why I'm creating a T head for all my heading columns and a T body for all my data. Is that it? Just a standard. It does nothing. It's just a standard. It's just a way of separation for heading and data. Is that clear here? It's just a standard. It's just like makes your code more readable. Fine. So you can see I have a very basic thing, and now let's style this table as well. So I'll just name it a class. I'll just give it a class of table, right? Let's give it a class of table. Now let's go style the table. So table with 100%. Let's see how much it is taking now. Okay, that's perfect. Cells spacing. Perfect. So I have a single column thing now. Let's give it some height. So for my ph, so I also have like let's do one thing. Let's create a very basic row inside it so that at least we can style. I'll put data after some time, but let's create a row in my T body, so at least we can give some kind of style to it. So I have one row, right? Now for data, I'm not using th, I'm using td, right? So th has some properties by default. It makes the text a little bold by default. So you can see it makes the text a little bold by default. So I don't want my data to be bold. So I'm not using th for my data, I'm using td. Both do same things, both create a cell in your table, but I don't want a bold data. That's why I'm not using th, I'm using td. So I need I need five, right? One for the serial number and one for this. So I'll just create one, then let's name it right. What was the third thing? Planet, right? So I'll just it's just dummy data, just for styling. Right? So a very basic table, as you can see, a very basic table, right? Now let's style it a bit. Let's style it. So I'm styling it with tag names for th and td. I'm going to use some height, right? So I'm going to use some height. I'll just say height 40 pixels. Let's see if it is increasing its height. Okay, that's perfect. It is increasing its height. Right? So for both th and td. Now, just for td, like in th, the text is in center by default. I can actually do that in here also. I can just say text align. This VS code is not working properly. Text align center. Fine. So now I have a little. Now what I'll just do, I'll just do is I'll just move this background color right there. So everything is white now. It's perfect. Fine. And I think my font family is not working. It's because maybe it should be. I'm writing. Do I have a spelling mistake? Okay, I have some spelling mistake maybe. I'll just check it in some time. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's focus on the table first. I'll just change that font family. Okay, fine. So now I have very basic data and that's cool. Fine. So we'll style it afterwards now because we have the basic styling ready for here. Is that clear? Fine. Let's move ahead now. Now let's put our data dynamically inside this table. So I'll just do one more thing is for this H1. I'll just do the class of title. Or I can work with a table by default. So instead of giving title to this, what I'll do is I'll just give it my table a very basic margin top. So margin top of let's say 20 pixels. So I'll just create a gap between my H1 and my table, something like this. I'll keep that gray. Don't worry, I'll keep that gray. I have some better styling in my mind right now. I just don't want to waste time right now, so that's why I'm. So I change the font family, so I'll know if I have a spelling mistake in this. No, actually there's no spelling mistake. I think I'm doing it somewhere wrong. So let's directly do that table. Font family. Category. Okay, now I got it. Because I have, maybe it works in your Windows system. I have Ubuntu, so I think I don't have that font families in my computer. I feel it right now. Fine. So I'll get some font families in the end, download it and use it here. So I think in your Windows PC, all the font families like CJU and Calibri will work. You can just check it out. Fine. Okay. I think in my Ubuntu, I don't have all that font family right now. Fine. So now let's do one thing. So I have a very dummy data inside my table right now. So what I'm going to do is, let's remove this dummy row from here and let's comment it out. So I don't have anything in my T body. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to use these data and put it inside my T-body. Fine. So let's do it. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function, right? So I'm going to create a function display, right? So this function is going to be used to display data in my table. Yes, King Blog, if you're using some kind of font family, then it should be installed in your PC. The second part that you can do is you can just download a font. Rather than installing, you can just give it a link, or you can give some online link for the font family. So it works like this. So if you're just giving it normally, like font family is something, so that particular font family should be present inside your computer, should be installed inside your computer. So there are three things. One, the font should be available locally, or you downloaded it and linking it, or you're linking it online. So these are the three things that you can do, right? So I think I don't have font installed in a PC, so I have to download and link it. I'll do it afterwards. I don't want to waste time in that right now. Yes, you can use online seeding, Geetika, not a problem. Yes, not a problem, Geetika. Fine. So I have created a function display that I'm going to use to display this data inside my T-body, right? Fine, let's do it. So I have to apply. So first, what I have to do is I have to create a string. I have to create a string that holds my HTML data, right? So what I'll do is I'll create a string now here, right? So what I'll do is I'll create a string. So I'll say let HTML data equals a very basic blank string, right? Or you can say a TR, because I'm going to create a row, right? So opening with TR, right? And then I'm going to apply a for each loop on my data, right? So what was the name? Superheroes, right? So superheroes dot for each. I hope everyone knows this now, because we have used it a lot of times now. So this is I'm using to loop the function, and then every element will go inside. So I'll just write superhero for now. So a single superhero will present. Is it getting clear till now? Are we clear? Are we clear for this for each? Everyone, do we remember for each properly? Do we remember for each? Right? Is it understood what I'm doing? I'm traveling the superheroes array so that I'll go one by one, and at one time, one superhero will come inside this particular variable, and I'm going to use it inside, right? Okay, that's perfect. Everyone is understanding. I'm happy. Right? Now, let's create a very basic variable here. So I'll just say let current row. So I'm going to create a very basic string. So remember that thing we learned, backticks, so that we can write a complete variable here, right? So a complete string with mix of variables, concatenation. So I'll write td, and then inside it, I'll use my expression, this thing, language, and I'll write superhero dot name inside the first td, right? And let's end this td. Is this perfect? I've just created a function display. I've not done anything. It's just a function. Anjali, it's just a function. I haven't called it yet. It's just a function that I've created. And I'm just entering HTML right now. I haven't used it. I'm just entering it. I'll show you how to put this HTML on your HTML page. Yes, it is a default syntax of for each. It has a function inside it. I hope everyone is understanding. This is a dummy HTML that I'm creating. I'm going to put all this HTML in my HTML page. Right now, this HTML will not work. HTML doesn't work in JavaScript. You have to put your HTML on an HTML page to work. So I'll create a dynamic HTML inside my JavaScript and put it on my HTML page. Is that clear to everyone? Right? So one TD is created. So if you just check it out properly, so I have created one. Just think it is of like it is a very basic string. Yes, TD will print out. Last time we learned, right? When we did this, when we put inner text on HTML, what happened? It was printed as a text. So we printed H1 with the help of inner text. So it was printed as a H1. But when we printed H1 with the help of inner HTML, it was working like an H1. Remember that thing we did? So exactly, we are just creating a very basic HTML string here, and we'll put this on my HTML page, and it will work as HTML because I'm going to use inner HTML. Right? If you remember last lecture, we did that thing. Just try to see, don't worry about it. If you're not understanding it right now, just try to see. Once it is visible to your eyes, you'll understand what I'm doing. So just think it like this. I'm creating a TD, and my first TD is holding the superhero name, right? Then I have a second TD. Let's create all the TDs. I also had a TD at first, right? I also had a TD at first for the number, right? I'll just put it 1 by default here right now for this now. So I have 3 more TDs for it. 1, 2, 3, right? So one TD has superhero.name, right? Dynamic creation of HTML, Ashish, you can say dynamic creation of HTML, right? So again, there I go, or I'll just make enter so that you understand it properly, right? So it is in one screen and you can understand it properly, right? Fine. So see, I have one TD which only has one. Okay, I'll just do fine. So I have one TD which only has a 1. I have second TD which has my superhero name. So I'll just first paste everything. Okay, the second TD has superhero.gauge. The third TD has planet, and the fourth TD has, what was it, height. Is this clear? So I have created a string which has 5 TDs in it and all my name. Yes, we can do that, Anjali. I'm just gonna show you how to do that, but just for right now, I'm just doing it one. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll go step by step. Don't worry about it. I just don't want to mess up everything for everyone. So we'll go one by one. Is this clear for now? So for now it is just a string. For now it is just a string. I'll show you. Okay, Jinay, we also need TR, right? We are creating dynamic rows, but TR we create only once, right? Okay, actually I did something wrong. Actually, I wanted it inside my loop because we are creating multiple, right? Oh, I'm so sorry about it. So my TR is also required here actually. Fine. And at the end, I also wanted TR, and this is it. Now let's do it like this. And so I just wrote it next to it. Don't worry, Jinay. Fine. Is this clear now? So what this function will do? This function will basically create a lot of TRs. Is that clear? Is that clear, everyone? Right. So if my loop goes 3 times, this will create TRs and TD. So basically a row. Remember the thing that I created here? Remember this thing? What this thing was doing? It was creating a row for me, right? This complete TR and set of 5 TDs was completing a row for me. Was creating a row for me. Okay, I just didn't put. Okay, fine. That's amazing. You people are noticing it. It's totally fine. So is this thing clear? By using this, I created a row, right? I created a row. So I created TR and inside 5 TDs. Exact same thing I'm doing here. And it is inside a loop. So basically it will get created multiple times. So how many times the loop is running? This TRs will be created multiple times. Is it clear? Yes, Bhavishri, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that. I'm going to show you how to do that. Is it clear to everyone? It is going to be a little messy for now, but you'll understand it. Don't worry. If we just go one by one, right? Fine. But now there's one problem because I'll have multiple TRs. This current row will get replaced again and again. So what I'll do is I'll create a very basic string. Let's say let table data equals a blank string. And at the very end of my loop, I'm going to do table data plus equal to current row. Remember this plus equal to? Yes, Vedashri will do that. We'll do that. Don't worry. All the people who are asking to increment that one will do that. We're just going one by one. Please think of this thing. We're just going one by one. Do you understand this? I have a very I have a blank string table data at the start. So what will happen now, when I come inside my loop, the first thing that will happen, I'll create a row. I'll create a row, right? I'll create a row, right? And then it will be stored inside my current row. So basically, a complete HTML string is stored inside my current row variable. And I'm passing, so if I don't use plus, what will happen? So now what I'll do is, I'll pass my current row in my table data. Perfect. So my table data has a row. Now this loop will happen again, will work again, and again I'll create a new row and I'll pass that current row in table data. So basically whatever was there inside table data at first, it will get replaced. So I don't want to get it replaced, right? So, and the shortcut which I wrote here, plus equal to, instead of this, you can write something like this. You can also write something like this. Table data equals to table data plus current row. You can just write like this. Is it clear to everyone? So now my table data will start with a blank string. I'll come inside loop, I'll create a row and put it inside my table data. Perfect. Then again my loop will like happen again. I'll create one more row and I'll do table already existing table data plus my new row. So already the last row that I created plus the new row, and again is stored in table data. So loop will happen again and again, already existing two rows inside table data plus the new row. That's what I'm doing here. So I get all the rows inside table data once the loop is complete. Is it clear to everyone? And the shortcut for this is, you can just write, the shortcut is actually this. That's why I wrote like this, like a little less syntax. Is it clear? So if you write a plus equal to b, it's basically a equals to a plus b. Is it clear? Yes, funny is actually appending. So now, after the end of the loop, my table data will have all the rows. After the end of the loop, my table data will have all the rows. And what I have to do it now, I have to use that table data and put it inside my t body, this blank t body here. I have to take all that table data that I have created. So basically, table data is containing 3 or 4 rows, right? Table data is containing 3 or 4 rows. So basically, I want all that 3 or 4 rows to be put inside t body. Is it clear, everyone? This is what I have to do. Inside my table data variable, I have all my rows that I have created here. And I want to put that table data inside my t body as a HTML. What is your doubt, Rohit? Can you ask the specific doubt that you have? Because once we move ahead, this will be confusing because it is going to be a little big, because we're going to also add, we're going to also delete. So we have a lot of things to do. So I just want everyone to be clear at that point where I'm explaining. You should not have any doubts in future. Rohit, can you ask the specific doubt that you have? Yes, we can give index, Dheeraj. Yes, we can give index. I'm just showing how to do it. I'll just go step by step, Dheeraj. Don't worry about it. Rohit, can you ask your doubt specifically? What is your doubt? You can say that, friends. You can say that. It's not an object of JS, it's a string of JS. Okay, table data is your doubt, right? Just try to understand it now. So at first, table data was a blank string, right? Rohit, everyone actually. At first, table data was a blank string. Now what's happening? I have a for each function that I know will run 3 times because I have 3 objects, right? So it runs 3 times. What it does, it creates a string tr with 5 tds, right? And stores it inside table data for first, right? Then the loop will run again. It will create another row by using this tr, and again it will add that new row inside already existing table data. So my table data already has 1 row, right? And the new row will be added inside it. Now my table data has 2 rows. Now the loop will work again. A new row will be created, and now that row also will be added inside already existing 2 table data. And it will only happen if I have written plus equal to. If it is only equal to, it will get replaced. Because equal to replaces everything, right? If a is equal to 2, and if you just go ahead and write a is equal to 5, that 2 will get out and 5 will get in. So I've written plus equal to because I want already existing plus the new one. Is that clear, everyone? Is it clear, Rohit, now? Is it clear? So my table data is basically getting added and added and added. Fine, everyone. Is it clear, Rohit? Okay, now. Now the last task that I have in display is basically to use this table data and put it inside my T body. So what I'll do is I'll give it ID now. You can give it a class or an ID. It's up to you. I prefer class every time. So I'll just use class for now also. So I'll just write name it anything. You can say T data, right? You can just say T data. So my T body class is T data, right? Now, at the end of this function, what I'm going to do is document dot get elements by class name, that is T data. And as we know, class name gives array by default, right? We have learned it in the third lecture. Class name gives array by default. So I have to use index of 0, right? Because I have only one T body. So it will by default on index of 0, right? I hope everyone understands this. Now, dot inner, we learned it, right? Inner HTML. So whenever we want to put some kind of data inside some tag, and if you use inner HTML, HTML will be treated as HTML and text will be treated as text. T data is basically my class name, right? T data is my class name. I'm fetching this element, right? What I said, document.get elements by class name T data. So basically, I got this element, and class name by default gives an array. By default gives an array. So I've written of 0. So basically, by writing of 0, I'm getting this T body, right? I'm getting this T body, and inner HTML equals to the data that I have created, and that's it. Yes. You cannot use table like get element by ID because T data is not ID. If T data is ID, you can use document.get element by ID, not a problem. It's like totally up to you. I'm not a fan of IDs. I always use classes. It's up to you. You can give IDs, not a problem. Is this clear to everyone? Is this function clear to everyone? I've created a display function that basically is doing what? It's getting my objects and printing it inside table. That's all. Inner HTML basically is used to manipulate content, right? I think you were in last lecture, right, Rashmi? Last lecture, we worked in that, right? So inner HTML is basically I'm writing. So what this thing will do is document.get elements by class name T data of 0 will get the element form. Will get the element, right? Class T data only one, but by default class name gives array. By default class name gives array, right? Class name, even if you have one element, class name gives an array. So even if you have one element, class name gives an array and put that element on the 0th index. That's why I have to use 0. Right? Okay, if it is really confusing for you people, what I'll do is I'll also do it ID and work with ID. But I know ID is only for single thing, right? ID is only for single thing. So ID is only given once, so it does not give an array. So if I have to write the same thing with ID, I'll just comment this out. The basic thing is I have to fetch the element, right? The first thing is I have to fetch the element. So document dot get element by ID. Now I know this is by ID, so it will only give me one element, right? So I don't have to write of 0 or of 1. So I can just write dot inner HTML. It basically means whatever element I have got. So what element I'm getting from this? The element that I'm getting from this is T body. And I'm saying inside T body. If I mean inner HTML, if I write inner HTML Riga, that basically means I'm trying to manipulate the inside part of that tag, whatever is inside that tag. So whatever HTML is inside that tag, whatever HTML, if I write inner text, I'm working on the text that is inside that tag. But if I write inner HTML, it basically means I'm working on the inside HTML of that. So right now there's nothing. So I'm just writing inner HTML. That basically means I have to put some HTML inside that T body, and the HTML that I've generated is table data. And that's all. These both lines are same, one with class and one with ID. That's all. Is that clear? I think we learned, right, in text and in HTML in last lecture or last one. Please rewatch that video, right? Please rewatch it. You'll understand everything. Is it clear for now? Now I have to call this display function. That's all. Let's call this display function. Display. I'm just calling it right now, right away. That's all. So what this display function will do, it will create the rows from my array and put it inside my keyboard. Let's refresh. I can see. Is this clear? I have got my dynamic data here. Is it clear? Is it clear, everyone? Can you see my data on my table? Is it clear, everyone? So now I have generated my data. Amazing, something new, right? Understood so far? Liking it so far? Okay, I'll change that. Don't worry. So right now I have only one problem. I have 1, 1, and 1 inside my serial number. So let's change it. Let's do it. So it's basically an increment, right? So we can just go on and create a variable, right? We can just go on and create a variable. Let you can say just row count, or you can just say SR in number. That by default is 1, right? So SR number by default is 1, and instead of putting 1 here, I'll put SR number, right? I can also use the index of my array, but I don't want to use it right now. I'm just making it simple. So I'm using SR number, and I want SR number to be incremented every time whenever my loop runs. That's all. That's it. So SR number is by default 1. So first time it will be 1, then it will be like get incremented by 1. The next time it will be 2 and 3, just like a very basic while loop. That's all. I can see I have 1, 2, 3. Is this clear, everyone? Is this clear? This is one thing. Now we are going to add data dynamically. Don't worry about it. If you don't use inner HTML and use inner text, what it will do is it will treat everything as a text and not HTML. You can see it right here. See, if I don't use inner HTML, I use inner text, it will do something like this. It will treat everything as a text and put it inside keyboard. It will treat everything as a text. Yes, I can also do that, but I think that's like not a quality code. That's why I did it in like right in the bottom. So you don't have to use pre-increment here, right? You don't have to use, it's not a logical question. It's just a way of displaying things. You don't have to use pre-increment. Deepak, you don't have to use pre-increment here. Like there's no problem in using pre-increment. So start with 0, pre-increment it, and then put it. Not a problem. So let's again change it to inner HTML. Okay, someone is asking that class name is not working, right? If I just comment this out and use my class name, let's see if it is working. It's still working. My class name is still working. What if you don't mention index of 0 there? Then what will happen? If I don't mention index of 0, that basically means now this particular thing is an array. And inner HTML is not a property of an array. Inner HTML is a property of an actual HTML. Right? We have learned, if anyone is having doubt with inner HTML and inner text, please just go and watch my previous video. Maybe day number 3 or day number 4, you will understand everything. Please, I'll just suggest you that. So that we have a lot of time to do things today. It's a kind request. If you don't understand inner HTML and inner text, I'll explain it to you in like in between. But if you want to understand it properly, please just go and watch my previous videos. You'll get everything. So as we know that this thing gives an array. So inner HTML is not a property of an array. It will not work. But when I specify the zeros, I'll get the element that is present inside my array. And then I can use inner HTML, right? Might be having some problem. I can't see your output, but I suggest you just have to check once. And if you have any problem, you can just post it on the community, your code and everything. I'll just see and answer it. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. Pradyumna, don't worry. Just post your question on the community, your code and everything, so I can see it. Because right now I can't see, so I can't rectify the problem. Right? So I have created dynamic table, right? I hope everyone is clear with this. I'll show you, Ashish. Don't worry about it. When I change the complete assignment, I'll show you. We're just going step by step, right, Ashish? So I'm going to show you. I just don't want to make it complicated for people, right? Fine. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to add rows inside this dynamically by taking input from user. So if you keep it clearing past, yes, Geetika, you're right, yes. Fine. So now the next thing is I'm going to create a form. I'm going to create a form and I have add button. So whatever I fill inside that form, if I click on add, this table will be filled dynamically. It will create a new row. So let's do that. Okay, funny. We will also do a thing for this for DC superheroes. Don't worry about it. So let's create a form for now. Let's create a form. Fine. I'll just go in above this superheroes. Here I'm gonna create my form, right? So let's do it. Dev dot form. I just need few input tags, right? So I need 4 input tags. One for name, one for age, one for planet, one for height. I need 4 input tags. Fine. So let's create it. Let's create it. So I need inline inputs. So I'll just create inputs. Input type text, okay. And placeholder is name, and that's all. And I'll just give it an ID so that you don't get confused. So I'll just give it a name, okay, and that's it. Let's paste it 5 times. So the first is name, the second is age, and it should be not text, it should be type number, but and the third thing was planet, right? So it's actually text, and the name is planet. The last thing was placeholder height, and let's change the IDs. So age, right? Age, and then we have planet, and then finally we have height. And at the end, I just need a button. Right? I just need a button that says add superhero. Let's see the output once. You can see a very basic output, right? You can see a very basic output of name. Let's style it a bit. I hope everyone can see the output. I have 4 inputs with the button, right? Fine. Let's style it a bit. So I'm directly going to style it. I'll just say input height of 40 pixel, and I think that's it for styling now. And give it a little text indent so that my text starts a little from the left. Like right now, my placeholder and my text will start from the bottom. If I just give it a text indent, it will start a little from side from the border. So I just give it a text indent. Let's style our button. Let's style our button a little. Right. I'm not doing a lot of styling. I'm just writing a very basic styling. So just write adding of 10 pixel. I feel that will be good. And that's clear. A very basic styling, right? Yes. No, I'm not taking height as number right now. Rohit, I'm not taking a height as number right now. I'm not treating height as number right now. Don't worry about it. Because it's not a proper decimal, right? Because in a proper number format, decimal number goes from 1 to 10, right? But height goes from 1 to 12, right? So it's not a proper number actually. If I have to treat it as a proper number, I have to take feet separately and inches separately. So I'm not treating height as a number right now so that I can take it inside a single input, right? Getting? Is it clear, Rohit? Height is actually not a proper number, right? I have to take them separately then, feet and inches, so that I can treat them as a proper number. So I have a form now, and let's I have a div with class form, right? So I'll just make it a little bit of margin bottom for it so that this gets down from that h1. So dot form. I'm also going to create a search for you people. We can search superheroes by name. Don't worry about it. So we have a lot of things I have a lot of things in my mind actually. So just focus and try to understand everything. So margin of margin top actually, margin top of 20 pixel. You can see now. Fine, perfect. So now what I have to do is if I fill all this and if I press add superhero, the new superhero should be added inside my this table. But right now what will happen is there's no validation. So if my fields are empty and I do add superheroes, that's no problem. Like it will accept because there is no validation. It is not showing me error like please input your name or please put age. So let's apply some validations for it. Let's apply some basic HTML5 validations. So for that thing, we need a form tag because without form tag, your HTML5 validations will not work. Remember this thing. So I'm not going to use this form tag for submission, but only for validation, I'm going to use this form tag. Yes, exactly. So now we have some empty attributes in my HTML file available that is required. So I'll just write required. That's all. It's an empty attribute that basically means it does not have any value. Empty attributes means it does not have any value. So just write required and that's all. And to get required work, you have to make it a submit button, right? You have to make it a submit button. Required works only if you have a submit button. Remember this thing. Required only works only if you have a submit button. It does not work with a normal button. By default, the type of the button is submit. But I just write it because so that I don't get confused in future. Now if I just do add superhero, can you see? I have errors coming. Please fill this field. If I write something in this and again do add, please fill this field. So I'm getting my errors and everything. So now user will not put any blank data or any data and just come in. You have to put proper data and everything. Is this clear to everyone? Is it clear till now, everyone? Please let me know in the chats. Is it clear till now? Is it clear till now, everyone? Please let me know. Okay, that's amazing. Let's move ahead then. Now let's create a function. Let's create a function to take values. So after this, after display function, let's create a function add superhero, right? So there's a function named add superhero, right? So let's take all that data. So let name equals to, so I have 4 inputs, right? I have 4 inputs, ID, name, age, planet, and height with all the IDs. So I'm just going to get all the values using these IDs. So fetch the element first, document.get element by ID. First is name, and I'm going to take its attribute, that is, we learned it last time, right? How to take inputs from user, right? You can just take the value attribute and use it, right? And that's all. Paste it 4 times. So name, age value inside age variable, and planet value inside planet variable, and then finally height value inside height variable. Yes, you can increase Paresh, you can increase, but right now I'm not doing it. It's basically a pseudo property placeholder, so we can increase its font size. Not a problem at all. Don't worry about it. You can just go on and write font size and you can see it. Right? Now let's check if they are coming properly. So that for once I'll just print all this on the console. Name, planet, age, and height. Right? And I have to call this add superhero function on my button, right? So let's go on, right? On click, add superhero. Is this clear? Now, one thing to remember, like for everyone, by default, submit button, refresh your page. Remember this thing. By default, submit buttons, refresh your page. You have to remember this thing. So now what will happen is, and remember this thing, once the page is refreshed, the JavaScript actually gets refreshed and it doesn't work. Once the page is refreshed, the JavaScript gets refreshed and it doesn't work. Now what will happen? I have a submit button, and now if I just do it, just check it out once. Now I'm calling this function. I want to like console.log everything, right? Let's just check it. Let's check it once. Right click, inspect. Just go inside your console, put your data, So I'll just write Earth. If I do add superhero, see, my data came, but my page refreshed. If you check out properly, I'm writing anything, right? I'm writing anything. And if I just do add superhero, please focus. If I just do add superhero, the function works, but page refreshes and everything just goes away. This is the problem with submit button. So if it was a normal button, if it was not a submit button and was a normal button, this will work perfectly. But now I have two problems. If I put a normal button, my validations will not work. If I put a normal button, my validations will not work. My form will work, my add superhero function will work, but my validations will not work. If I do, if I put a submit button, then my validation will work, but my add superhero function will get refreshed again and again and it will not work. So I want both things. I want a submit button, but I don't want to refresh my page. So for that thing, you just go inside your function, and at the very end, just write return false. Right? Just write return false. And if it will stop, no, it's not virtual DOM here, right? We are not learning React. Just write return false and it will stop refreshing your page because you're calling this function on submit and this function is returning false. So basically stop all the default activities. There's one more way, but I have not taught you it. So now if I just go on, refresh the page, write anything inside it. So this is one way of stopping your refresh in your submit button. Write any kind of data. And now I have to go, okay, it's still refreshing. I think I have to use the second way, maybe. Just let me check if it is working first. Let me just check. I'll explain you it right now. I think there's some problem. Let me just check first. This is working for me at least. Let me just check. Okay, that's great. Validations are working here. Let's write some name. Right. Don't worry, Ria, I'm explaining. Actually, it's not working right now. Alex, I'm explaining a different way. Don't worry about it. I'm just checking if it is working first. Let me just check. Okay, no, it is still refreshing my page. I think I have some problem or the submit button is not working properly. I've done some mistake maybe somewhere. We're just checking, don't worry about it. Right. Okay, no, it is still refreshing. So this thing is not working right now. Maybe this thing will work. Instead of on click, there's one way, like one more way of submitting your form. So instead of on click, click it as a button, go inside your form tab and write on submit and same function add superhero, right? And then just come here and write return false. Don't worry, I'm gonna explain that. I was just checking. I have a topic completely on events for tomorrow, scheduled for tomorrow. So don't worry. Everyone who is like not understanding about event or that the things that I wrote just now, don't worry. I have a topic for tomorrow. It is a topic for tomorrow, event and everything. Just now I'm just trying whatever helps me to work this out, right? Don't worry about it. I have done something wrong somewhere. Don't worry. Okay, that's still refreshing my page. There's some kind of problem, maybe. What is the thing? What is the problem I've done? Prevent default is working, right? Okay, I'm saving this meeting, right? No, I'm not saving it. Let me check. Is this the problem? Are you sure? No, is prevent default working for you people? Has anyone tried it? Nipun, okay. It's working for you. Okay, I didn't save my HTML. Okay, that's the problem. Let me just check it once again. If this is the thing, I'll just explain you to people right now. Don't worry about it. I'm saving both the pages now. Let's see. Okay, it's working actually. Prevent default is working. The problem was I didn't save my page. Thank you, Nipun, for that. I didn't save my page. Okay, fine. Everyone who is having a doubt now, like what is this event? I'll explain you. Please try to understand. Fine. So whenever just try to understand this, right? Just try to understand. Variously, just try to understand, then I'll explain you how it is working, and it will work for you to be like people too. Don't worry about it. Just try to understand this now. So whenever you're performing event handling, there is an event object that is by default available. Remember this thing. So if you want, you can use it. If you don't want, you cannot use it, right? If you don't want, don't use it. So there is an event object by default available wherever or whenever you perform events. And if you don't want to use it, just don't use it. It works fine. But if you want to use it, you can pass an event object. This should be the spelling. Remember this. This should always be the spelling. So whenever you call a function like on submit or on click or on anything, you pass your event object. You can just write it like this. That's all. You don't have to write anything like E or EF or anything. You just pass your event object, and the spelling should be this only: EVENT, event. So what will happen? This event object contains everything that is related to this event, like contains where on which button it has been clicked, at what time it was clicked, or you can say on like where on the screen it was clicked, what is the x-axis on the screen, what is the y-axis on the screen, where this event was performed. So this event object contains all the details related to the on submit event here. Is that clear? This event object contains all the details related to your function. Is that clear? What is this event object? First, let's just try to understand. Is the event object clear to you people? Is the event object clear to you people? Yes, event is a built-in object, Priya. Exactly. Event is a built-in object. If you want, you can just write it and use it. If you don't want, just don't write it. That's totally fine. Is this clear? Now, if I'm using it, remember this thing. Now, if I'm using it, I have to pass as an argument. I'm passing it as an argument. Anjali, what is your doubt? Ashish, what is your doubt? Please tell me. Event is an inbuilt object that is available wherever you're performing event. Like this. If I don't want to use it, not a problem. Add superhero will still work. But let's say in some scenario or in some case in my life, I want to get some things that are related to this event. So I am performing an on submit event. So listen this. Ashish, everyone who is having a doubt, just try to understand this. Wherever I perform an event, there is an inbuilt event object available which stores all the information related to the event. Listen this thing again. Listen the definition. Wherever I'm calling a function or performing an event, there is an inbuilt event object by default available which contains all the information related to the event. So if you need, you can use that object. If you don't need, just don't use it. Is that clear? What is like Ashish? Are you clear with like what is the event object? Do you understand what is the event object? It is an inbuilt object that is available for all the events. No, there's no class for it. Geetika, there's no class for it. It's just an object. It has a prototype, but there's no class for it, right? Basically, it's a child of window, again, you can say. Or any action button villain, anything. For every event, there is event. For every event handling thing, there is an event object available. And that stores information about that particular event. So if you want to use, wherever you're calling your function, you can pass a parameter named event, and this should be the only name. You cannot write anything else. Event should be the only name. That's all. Event, EVENT. That is the spelling. This should be there. So now if I'm using it, if I'm passing it, so now I'm passing an argument. So I'm passing my event object as my argument. So basically, if I'm passing it as argument, we learned in functions, if you're passing an argument, you also need to have a parameter. So inside my function, I have a parameter to get that event object. And now here I can name it anything. I can name it E, I can name it F, doesn't matter. Yes, you can use it on click, Sachin. You can use it on click, not a problem. So now the case is I can name it anything, but I just chose to name it event so that I don't create any confusion for myself. So now this is the event object that contains everything related to my event, and I'm passing this object, and it is going and getting stored inside this event property, or you can just write E. So now this event object, everything like related to this event object is stored inside this event object. I'm passing this, and this is getting stored in my E, right? So there is a by default function, there is an inbuilt function that is available for event object. I can call it with E, right? Because E is nothing but my event object, because I have passed event and it is getting stored inside my E. So I can call E dot this function. This is a by default function available in an event object. And what this function does, it prevents, it stops all the default thing that that particular event does. So on submit, the by default functionality of on submit event is to refresh the page. The by default functionality, remember this, the by default functionality of on submit event is to refresh the page. And I told it, please prevent all your defaults. Stop all the things that you perform by default. And when I wrote it, e.prevent default, it stopped the refreshing. That was the by default feature of on submit action. Is that clear to everyone? So I can use this event object to manipulate my events, actually, you can say, to manipulate the things that an event does. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, Sachin, you can use it on click, on drag, on double click, on anything. Every event has an event object. Can we say it is cleared now? So if needed, you can pass it and use it. If not needed, just don't do it. Not a problem at all. Yes. I'll take this event from basics. I'll show you what are the things that are available in this event object. For now, I'm just using it. Just understand I'm using it. Tomorrow, I'll show you what are the things that are present in this event object and how to get everything. How to get the screen point, how to get on which particular thing this event is called, everything. For now, just understand this event object, I'm using it to like stop my actions that my submit action performs. Is it clear? I think I know it's a little complicated, but for now, just understand it. We're just doing it for the sake of creating my superhero. Is it clear? I hope you understood the event object. Tomorrow, I'll show you what are the things that are present in event object and how you can do, like this is one thing that you can perform, like preventing the default things. Tomorrow, I'll show you everything what event object does. It does a lot of loads of things. So we'll learn that tomorrow. Don't worry about it. But for now, is it clear what it is performing? So I'm passing an event object that holds all the information related to the event that is coming inside this key, and I'm calling the function prevent default. That is basically stopping everything that a submit action does by default. So submit action basically refreshes your page, and I've stopped that refreshing using this. Is this clear? Is this clear to everyone? Okay, that's amazing. Fine. So this was the thing that was stopping us. Now we know. Now you can see in the console that I have all my data, right? I have all my data. So I have all my data. Now let's do the magic thing. Now what I have to do is, now what I want actually, I want this data to go inside this already existing array of superheroes. I want my new data to go inside this already existing array of superheroes so that this array is read again and I have new set of data. So there is already three data present. I have Thor object, I have Iron Man object, I have Captain America object. Now what I want, if I fill that form and click on add, I want a new object to be added here with my name, age, planet, and height. This is the thing what I want. So I want a new object added here. So basically what I'll do is, inside this function, add superhero, I'll create a new object with all my values and put that object inside that array, already existing array. Let's do that. Fine, let's do it. So at first, I'll create a blank object. So I'll just write let superhero equals to a blank object, right? A blank object. No problem. A blank object. Very blank. It's just an object literal. That's all. A blank object. And now I'll write superhero. So you can put any property on your blank object, right? You can put any. Remember this in JavaScript. You can write any property for a blank object. That's not a problem. So I can just go on and dynamically write superhero.name. So it will create a name property for you in this blank object. Remember this. If I write superhero.name, that is superhero is my blank object. If I write my blank object.name, that means internally there is a name property created. If I just go and write superhero.age, that means internally an age property has been created. Is that clear? Yes, HTTP request and fetching API is included. That is the last things of our session. Don't worry about it. Is that clear? So if I write once again, I'm showing if I write superhero dot, you can say planet, that basically means inside this object internally there is a planet key created. Is that clear? So I don't have to write, it is getting created internally. So the thing that I'm showing is you can just dynamically write keys and these all will get added inside this. And now superhero.name equals to this name that I've got from text box. Superhero.age equals age, and superhero.planet equals the planet I've got through text box. And finally, superhero dot height equals height. Is that clear? And now, just for confirmation, let's get to the end and basically print that superhero object and see what it is. That's all. I'm just printing that object right now. I'm doing nothing. Right? That's all. Let's see what is the object getting created perfectly. That's what I'm gonna check. Is the object getting created perfectly? That's all. Right? So let's try it. Let's try it. Solve age 24, planet Earth. Right? Now I'm gonna do add superhero. What will happen? This function will get called. A blank object will be created. All the values of my text box will be fetched, and my object will be filled with name, age, planet, and height, and I'll print my superhero object, and let's see if it is working. Add, and you can see a object like with proper brackets and having everything, right? You can see it, right? Everyone can see it. Is this understood till now? Is this understood, everyone? How I created a new object with my text fields? Is it clear? Okay, that's amazing. But now there's one problem. If we go up and see, my age was number. If we just go up, my age was actually a number. And if I just see my console, my age is a string. So I have to convert my age to number. So for that thing, it's really simple actually. While passing age to superhero.age, just write a number constructor here and it will convert it for you. Right? This thing we saw in the first lecture. And that's all. So now my age will be converted to number and then it is stored inside age. And that's all. That's all. That's simple. Right? So I just converted it into number, right? Age and number constructor. It will convert any kind of string to number if it is a number. So just write, let's go on. The planet 2.1 add, and now you can see age is a number, right? Age is a proper number. Is this clear? Why you create a default object? I just wanted a blank object, right? So that I can add into it. It is just a basic programming practice. I created a blank object and then I added properties into it. That's all. That's all, Gina. Is this clear? I converted into number. Now, this height is also a number, but if you see from start, I'm not treating height as a number. I'm treating height as a string. So I'm just following that format. For today, for here, for this thing, I'm not treating height as a number. Remember this thing. I don't want to treat height as a number. That's all. Yes, because I have treated everything as a string, right? I have treated my height by default as a string. So I want it as a string. That's why I'm not converting it. I'm just putting it as it is. For age, I'm converting it into a number, but I'm not converting it because I want my height to be string. That's all. So now I have my superhero, right? And now the last thing that I want to do here is I want to put this superhero object inside my array, that already existing array. Let's do that. So the array name was superheroes, right? Now there's a function for an array that actually helps you to add new elements. So the function name is, like we learned this in the second or third lecture, I feel, push. The superheroes.push, the new superhero that we got here, right? And that's all. And at the end, let's just try to print that array. So we can see if this new superhero is getting added to my superheroes array. That's all. Now let's try. Let's just go on, see. Let's see. So there are three things that are by default present in my array, right? So I did array.push the new object. So that new object will be pushed in my array, and my array will have 4. No, I don't. Deepak, it's superheroes. No, it's not a string. It's an array. So you can't write plus equal to. Superheroes, it's an array. It's not a string. And for arrays, you have a push method. So I wrote push and the new object. So let's try. Let's see if my array is getting 4 objects now. If my array is getting 4 objects, that's what we want to see. So let's see. So if I click on add superhero, the new superhero will go inside my already existing array and the array will be printed. So 4 elements should be printed here. 4 elements should be printed, right? Let's see. Add superhero. And you can see the array is of size 4 now. The first is Thor, then Iron Man, then Captain, and the last object we added. Is this clear to everyone? Is this clear to everyone? Now our array has 4 elements. Is this clear to everyone? Yes, let's say, Velan, if you want to use age in some calculation, then you cannot use that like it as a string, right? You have to use it as a number. So if and only if there is a need for age to be used in some calculation, it is required as number. Otherwise, you can use it as a string, not a problem at all. Is it clear to everyone? And it's completely fine, right? If you, now, when you see, if I just add anything else here, you see, now my array is 5. The last thing we added and the new thing we added again. So it's working totally fine. Push is an inbuilt function. What push does is push basically adds a new element to your array. That's all. So superheroes was my already existing array. I said, please push this new superhero in my array. That superheroes array, and that's all. Yes, Sai Virendra, if you refresh it, it will delete it. I'll show you how to store it permanently. Don't worry. And it is JavaScript, so I don't have a permanent database, right? So if you refresh, it will get deleted. But I'll show you a way how to store it permanently. Don't worry about it. I'll show you a way. But let's for now just forget that and don't refresh your page. Is this clear? Now the final thing. When I'm adding a new element, my array is getting updated, but my table is not getting updated. Right? This is the problem. If I'm adding a new superhero, my array is getting updated, but my table is not getting updated here. My table is still not getting updated. So I have to update my table. So basically what I have to do is, I have to call this display function again so that it reads my array again and creates a new set of rows and put it on the t body. Let's do it. Let's call this display function again. And for once, let's just put this display function on the top. So by default, display function will be called and my three elements would be displayed, right? My three elements would be displayed. Now, if I do add superhero, what will happen? You understood till here, right? A new superhero will be added to my array and display function will be called again. And if display function is called again, what will happen? It will again loop through my array. So now I have 4 data. It will again loop through my array and display 4 rows. Is that clear? That's why I created a display function so that I can use it multiple times. I don't have to write the code for display again and again. Let's try it. Let's refresh and let's try it. Please focus. There might be some mistake here. Please focus and you'll understand everything. Now see what is happening here. If I say add superhero, and that's perfect. Is it clear to everyone? Let's just go on and add something else. Is it clear to everyone? Is it good? You people like it, right? Amazing, people. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. So we learned a new thing, right? This will be a lot helpful for you in the future because these kind of things you have to do. Okay. Now let's do one more thing. The final thing that we have to do is we have to clear this, right? Now what will happen if I just add superhero and if I click it twice by mistakenly, right? So it will get added again and again. So I have to clear that field. So once I press add superhero, I have to clear all my fields. So let's do it. Let's do it. So again, this thing here. Let's actually copy all this thing. After display, just write it. Listen, right now I'm using like a very basic kind of code, so I'm not using like a lot of reusability here. So my code will be a little lengthy, but for now it's really good for you to understand. If I'm writing a lot of code, you can make it actually. You can make this thing in a less lines of code, but that will be complicated for you right now. So now what will happen? I'll say, please make the values blank. That's all. After displaying, please make the values blank. That's all. Now what will happen? I'll get the values, create an object, push that object in my array, display my array, and clear all the fields. That's all. Now let's refresh and let's check it now. Let's add a new superhero. Let's add a proper superhero actually. So let's say, right, Jojo. Add, and you can see my field is clear. So if I now click it by mistakenly, it will give me an error. Yeah, it started Thor, right? If you remember Alok, if you remember everything, I think you're thinking like it is not repeating the data. If you remember our display function, at start, it clears my table data. You can see at start, it clears my table data. So it is creating a table from starting again. It is starting again. That's why I made it like blank in the start. So every time the display function is called, the table is created from the start again. It doesn't continue from the third row. If it has to continue, Thor will be created again. That was the problem. So that's why I'm emptying my table data at the start of my display function so that everything goes from start. Is this clear to everyone? Is this totally fine? Is this understood? We have 3 features left now, right? We have 3 features left for today. We have to create a delete functionality and we also have to create a search functionality. So let's focus on the search first. So to remove the input value after submit, we should have not used on submit event. No, actually we have to use on submit. If we didn't use this prevent default now, if we didn't use this prevent default, actually, so my fields will get cleared automatically. That is what will happen actually. if I don't use this payment default. But right now I'm using it, right, for some purpose. So I have to clear them like manually. I cannot use that submit feature because I have stopped all the basic features of my submit button. Okay, Rahul, to auto detect, you have to write some code. We have to write some code. So before adding, we have to check. So yes, we have to complete three things, right? We have to create a search functionality, we have to create a delete, and we have to create an update. Let's see what from three we can complete here. So let's try to write a search functionality. So for that thing, I'll create a search. I'll create a search bar. Please focus. Please focus. Again, I'll create one more div here, and I'll name it as the same class form, and there will be an input. Right. Type text and placeholder start searching here. So this is the input field that I've got for my search. I'll search it here, right? Yes, we are trying to do everything with layers. Don't worry. We are going one by one. We can't do it like everything at once, right? It's a big assignment, right? So I'm creating a search bar. So what I want to do is, if I start typing here, my table should get filtered. That's what I want to do. If I start typing here, my table should be getting filtered, right? That is what I want to do. Let's see if we can finish this in 10 or 15 minutes. We'll extend the lecture, like today's lecture, a little. So can you repeat how you cleared data after adding? I didn't actually clear. I cleared it by using this, right? I have function, right? So listen, Garima, what I did to fetch the data, to fetch the value, I used this, right? Document.getElement by ID name. So I got that element and I used it value. At the end, what I did, again, I fetched the element. I got the element, document.getElement by ID name. So I got that element and I said, please make its value blank. Double quotes, only blank. That's all there. This is what I did. So I fetched all the 4 elements and made their value blank. Hemlata, you can just go on this channel and find JavaScript Essentials Batch 2 and get all the previous videos. That's all. It's already on the channel. Hemlata. Is it clear, Garima? Now you understood? I fetch all the elements and make their value blank. That's how I cleared them. That's how I cleared them. Fine, let's work with search. So I'm creating one more function again. Search, right? Search by name. I'll only make search by name. You can make search by age and search by planet. That's totally up to you. You can also make that. I'll only show you how to create search by name, and basically do the same for everyone else. So search by name, right? Now, this function will not be called on any click or something, right? This function will not be called any click. This will be called when I start typing in my input field. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But first of all, let's just try log anything, right? Let's just say console.log typing. I'm going to show you how to call actually. First, I'm going to explain you the event, right? So now I want to call this function when I start typing in this particular input box. I want to call that search function when I start typing in this input box. So for that, I have an event named on key up. So whenever I press a key and leave, this will be called. So if I start typing, I'll press leave, like the typing is the process, right? I press and leave, press and leave, press and leave. So that is the typing process. So whenever I press and leave, that basically means when I'm typing it and leaving everything, it will get called. So on key up is the function. So everyone uses it. Google uses it. In fact, Google search. So whenever you start typing, the search results are there, right? So that's what we're going to do. So on key up, what was the name of the function? So when you refresh the page, yes, because it is JavaScript, right? So the data is not permanent. The data that I added, Bhavishni, the data that I added dynamically, they are not permanent. Only the first 3 data that I have wrote by default are permanent. Remember everything. Only the first 3 data are permanent that I have wrote by default. Everything else that I'm adding is not permanent. Once I refresh the page, it will go again. It will go away. That is what's going to happen. but I'll show you how to store them permanently, maybe today or if you get time tomorrow. So don't worry about it. We have a lot of things to do. Don't worry. Copy this function. Paste it. Oh, what's happening? This VS code is behaving very. Search by name. So let's see if it is getting called on key of first. Bhavish, are you cleared? Only 3 data is permanent right now. Only the 3 that I have wrote by default are permanent. Everything else that I'm adding is basically temporary. If I refresh, everything will go. They are not permanent. Search by name. Let's try. So my search by name is basically console.logging typing. Let's try. Let's try if it's working. Let's see. So see, on key up, right? So I press a key and leave it. Can you see in my console? That's typing. I press a key and leave. So basically I'm typing, right? That's all is happening here. This is a new event. So I have pressed my keys 40 times. That's why it's coming to 40 or 67 or whatever it is. How many times you type? Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear? On key up function. On key up is basically whenever you're typing, you can perform that thing. Now let's try to fetch the value actually. Let's try to fetch the value of that input box. Let's give it an ID. ID, you can give it search name because I'm using it for searching name. Right? So SEARCH NAME. Search name. So var or let actually let and say search value equals document.getElement ID and my ID was search name. So whatever I'm getting from this, so SEARCH search name dot, well, just as we got the values of name, age above, that's the same thing I'm doing it, and that's just console.log it. Search value. Let's see if it is getting the value and printing it at least. Let's see if it is doing that at least. Let's see. Right, let's see. Totally fine. Let's work on it. Let's see. So I'm writing A. Oh, there's a problem. Value of null. Okay. Haven't I saved it? Haven't I saved it? Okay, I didn't save it. That's why that was a problem. Fine. Search name. Let's try it again. Refresh the page. Type A. Can you see? I got A, B, C, D. Can you see whatever is in the input field? I'm getting on typing. It works on typing. It works on cutting and everything. Is it clear, everyone? On key up is cleared. Because now we're going to write that functionality of searching. Is this clear to everyone? Please let me know in the charts if this is clear so we can move ahead. Okay, that's amazing. So cool, let's start writing the search thing now. Right, let's do it. So it's totally easy. It's really very easy. Just see what I'm doing here. Now, what you have to do is, there's an inbuilt function for your arrays that is named filter, where you can write any kind of condition like what should be matched. So what filter function actually does is, it goes inside your array. It goes inside your array, right? Just let's listen. What filter function actually does is, it goes inside your array, loops your array, and whatever condition you have written to like check for this, check for that, it checks for every element, and whatever checks are matched, that elements will be returned to you and everything else will be discarded. So what I have to write is this. Let's see first and you'll understand. Superheroes dot filter, and this basically calls a function. Again, just pass superhero as the value that it takes. So now same, it will do same as for each. It will loop through array, but it will not print anything. What you do is basically you return an element. So I'm writing return wherever superhero dot name dot index of. Basically, I'm trying to match elements, right? index of the value I'm getting here, right? The value. Check for search value. Oh, sorry. Remember this index of function from the first or second lecture, maybe? Remember this index of function? What will happen here is, just try to understand. I'm saying superheroes dot filter. So run a filter function on superheroes. So basically travel each and every element, and at one point of time store one element in superhero and check if superhero dot name dot index of, basically if superhero dot name contains whatever is in search value. So if it contains, remember, if my superhero name contains anything that is present in search value, it will return the index of the element. So if I'm writing S, and if S is present wherever in your superhero name, it will return that element. It will return that element. But if it is not present, it basically returns -1. So I'm writing return the element only if the check result for this is not equal to -1. That is, it is present somewhere on 0th index or first or second or third or fourth, but at least it is present. I'm searching for the element where my search value is present somewhere on the name. Discard only if it is -1. -1 is basically returned when it is not present anywhere. So what I'm saying is, check for superhero.name, that superhero.name should contain that index of, basically should contain at any index the search value that I'm passing. So whatever is inside search value will be checked if it is present on superhero.name. If it is present, it will return 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or something. But if it is not present, if my search value is not present anywhere inside my superhero.name, it will return -1. So I wrote, if it is not equal to -1, return that element. But if it is equal to, just discard it, because I'm only returning elements which are not equal to -1. That is, if my search value is present. Is this clear? If we want to understand index of, now I'll explain you. Wait, I'll explain you here. If you just want to understand index of, so let's say I have an element where ELE equals some string. So let's say it has hello, right? That's all. Now I'm writing ELE dot index of. If anyone doesn't understand index of, please add. So I'm searching for E. I'm saying I'm searching for E, right? Can you see? It is giving me 1. If I say I'm searching for O, it is giving me 4. But if I say I'm searching for S, that is not present. If you see, it is giving minus. So if basically, okay, I'm zooming it. See here, I created a variable ELE. Data is hello. If I search for E, it gave me 1. If I search for O, if I search for O, it is giving me 4. That means whenever I search for something using index of, whenever I search for something, it gives me the index. But if whatever I'm searching is not present, it gives me -1. So that's what I've written here. Search in superhero.name and search for my search value, whatever I'm searching. So search for my search value inside superhero's name. And if it is present, it will give 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't care whatever it is, but it is present now. But if it is not present, it will give you -1. So I'm saying return the element only if it is not equal to -1. So basically only if it is positive or 0, 1 or 2, return that element. So this filter function basically returns the element. It will return the whole object. Check the name, but will return the whole object. Now to confirm it, let's store it somewhere. Let new data equals this. Okay. And let's do console.log new data. Yeah, I'll show you. Don't worry, I'll show you. Right? Let's try. Let's cut this code. Clear the console. Okay, my browser has maybe hanged a little. Fine. Let's try. So I'm gonna write A first, right? I'm gonna write A. So I'm searching his superhero name, right? Remember everything, right? I'm gonna write A. See now, I got 2 elements, Iron Man and Captain America, because their names were containing A. Iron Man there was A in man, and in Captain America there was A in captain. But inside Thor, there was no A. That's why that object didn't came. Is that clear? Now if I just go on and write P, see, I got only one. See, if I just go and write T, I got only one. Captain America. Because small t is only present in Captain America. If I just go and write capital T, see, I just got Thor because capital T is only present in. Is this clear? So if I just go and write Thor, so there's only one, right? And then Thor. Is it clear to everyone? Is it getting clear? The function is getting called again and again because I'm writing it like I have called it on key up. So if I write, it will get called again and again. But is it clear now? Is it clear to everyone? Okay, that's amazing. That is amazing. Perfect. Now, I know that this is working. The function is working. But the problem is, this is not working on my table. Yes, you can. Okay, fine. I'll show you how to make it case insensitive too. So to make it case insensitive, what you can do is, you can convert your value and the name both to uppercase or both to lowercase and then compare. Right now what's happening, I'm getting the value from my array and I'm getting the value from my search field and comparing it as it is. So whether it is capital or lowercase, I'm not checking it. To compare properly, so either I have to like make both of them uppercase or both of them lowercase so that I can check. So I can do that. So I'm saying superhero.name.to, there's a function to make them uppercase to uppercase. So make this uppercase. It's only while checking. It will not be visible to you. It's only while checking. And search value should also be in uppercase, and that's all. Now it will not matter if I'm writing uppercase or lowercase. Internally it will get converted to uppercase and then it will be checked. Right? Save it, refresh, and now just go on and write T. So now I have two elements. See, if I write T, I have Thor and Captain, right? I have both the things now. I have Thor and Captain. Is that clear? Now if I write T, I have both. Because both are getting converted. Because internally everyone is getting converted to uppercase and then they are checking. Then they are getting checked. So Thor is getting converted to capital Thor and Captain America to capital Captain America, and then they are getting converted. So this is what we can do. Is this clear to everyone? So this is what you can do to make it insensitive, case insensitive. Is this clear? Now the final thing that I have to do is to work on the table. Show it. Now the problem here is my display function only works on the superheroes array, right? The superhero. Remember this. The display function only works on the superheroes array, right? But now my search results are stored in my new data array. And if I call display function here, nothing will happen because my display function only works with the superheroes array, right? My display function only works with the superheroes array, and my search results are stored in new data. So nothing will happen. It will always be the same. So I have to tell my display function like what arrow to display at what time. My display function should know at like what array to show on the HTML at what time. So I have to make my display function dynamic, or like I have to make my display function understand that what array should that function should show. So now what I'll do is I'll create a parameter in my display function. So I'll just write super array, right? So what I'm doing is I'll pass, like whenever I'm using display function, I'll pass a new array to my display function. I'll tell my display function, okay, show this array. So what will my display function do? It will not like always show superhero array. Whatever I pass inside it, it will show that array. So just try to understand this. So now instead of superheroes, I'm saying please display this super array function. Right? So now my display function will display whatever I'm passing in parameter, right? So let's say at first when I'm calling it, I'll pass my superheroes function. I'll pass my superheroes array. So it will display that array. Inside add superhero, again, I'll pass my superheroes array because that is the array I'm working on, right? Again, that same array. And inside this display function, I'll pass my new data array, the array that I want to display. Now my display function is dynamic. It knows which array to show. So it will not only show like always superheroes array, whatever array I'll pass. So I can pass a superheroes array, I can pass a filtered superheroes array, or I can pass some different array. It will show that. Is this clear to everyone? Is this clear? Is this clear to everyone? My display function is not fixed for the first superheroes array. So now what I can do, I can make n number of arrays. I can rename my arrays, but display function knows whatever array is passed inside me, I have to display that, and that's all. So I have to pass a function is like an array in an argument, and it will take that argument in this super array and display this. It is not fixed for an array. Is it clear? Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear? Okay, that's amazing. Are you sure? Perfect. Sure. Let's try. Let's see if it is working. Let's just go on and write T. See that? Thor and Captain America. TH. Only Thor. Cut this. Right? Let's write C. Only Captain America. Cut this. Is this clear to everyone? See, your filter is perfectly working. If I write IRON, perfect. Okay, perfectly fine for everything now. Is this clear? Is this clear to everyone? So basically, I'm making dynamic functions here. Okay, amazing. Is it amazing? Is it something new that you're learning? Just tell me in the chats if it is good, if it is something new that you're learning. Just tell me in the chats if you're liking all these things. Oh, thank you so much, Rajiv. Thank you so much. Fine. Now let's add one more functionality. I feel we can only add one more. I'll add the update functionality tomorrow. Let's add the delete functionality for today. Let's add that delete functionality. And I'll also show you how to permanently work with this data tomorrow again. But let's add the delete functionality. So I'll add one more row in my table actually. I'll add one more row in my table for that delete button actually. So I'll go inside my table. I'll add one more th. I'll just write actions. Right? I have one more, right? You can see, if you see here, there's one more actions. And now I'm just going to create a button. That's all. I'm just going to create a button. So one more TD here. Just going to create a button. So a button. With delete. That's all. Now I have a delete button. Okay, let's add some padding to my TD so that that button is not stuck to all the borders that I have, right? So let's add some padding to the TD tags. So let's write padding 5 pixels. Okay, that's good now. So I have a delete button, right? I have a delete button. Now it is doing nothing right now, but what I want to do is, if I click on delete, this row should be deleted from here, right? And again, it is not going to be permanent, but the action will be fine. So tomorrow I'll show you how to make this permanent. Don't worry about it. But let's work on delete right now. So let's create a function again. Listen, I'm like, see my coding style. I'm creating a function for everything. That's what you have to do. Right? So display is here and search by name is here, and let's create one more function. Delete super. Just as we had add superhero, I'm having delete superhero. Now, to delete a superhero, basically, I basically need a, you can say, the index of the element, right? I basically need the index of my, yes, yes, the nodes will be shared. Don't worry. Don't worry, don't worry. The nodes will be shared. Okay, let's do one thing before doing the last thing. Let's do one thing. Can we have a doubt session for 5 minutes? Because today we didn't have a doubt session. Can we have a doubt session for 5 minutes? Everyone, I forgot actually to have a doubt session. Let's have a 5 minute doubt session. Yes, Deepak, you're right. We are going to use the serial number, actually the index. Let's have a 2 minute doubt session. Then we'll complete. Yes, please like the video if you're liking it, please. Let's have a doubt session. Come on, guys. Okay, that's amazing. Please continue. Okay, that's fine. I don't think anyone has any doubts. That's totally fine. Okay, then let's work. So now to delete any particular element from an array, I need its index. I need its index, right? So let's do it. So I'll pass index, right? I'll pass index. And I know as my index starts from 0, right? So my delete together function needs an index, and I want to remove that element, whatever is present on that index. So it's really simple. So superheroes dot, let's say, oh, there's no remove function. Actually, I forgot the name of the function to remove any element from an array. What was it? I can, like, you can use some other trick also. There's no problem. But actually, I forgot the name of the function. What was the name? Okay, let me just check once. Superheroes. I think it was pop actually. Superheroes dot pop. Let's plus one here. Unshift. Are you sure, Anjali? There's unshift function. Oh, pop is actually giving me the next element that I'm not removing. Remove, is there a remove function, Nipun? I forgot the name. Is there a remove function? Actually, pop is removing, but it is removing the, like, the next element, right? See, pop is removing. Actually, pop is removing, but it is. So I'll just write pop using unshift, right? Will unshift work? We can also use slice if we like. No, unshift will not work. Let's do one thing. Let's try slice. Actually, we will use slice. Remember we learned it. Superheroes dot slice. I want to, like, cut from, let's say, just let me check one. Just let me check once. 0 and 1. What will I get? I get one element, right? And now what is already there in superheroes? Okay, all three elements are present yet. So it is not removing. Let's try with splice if it is working. Splice 0 to 1. Okay, so splice is working for me. Can you see in my console? There is no remove function, I feel, for arrays. There is no remove function, man. There is no remove function. So splice is working for me. As you can see, splice is working perfectly. So in splice, I have to mention from where I have to cut, and then from, like, for which element, like how many elements I have to cut. So that's all. That's all. I can write superheroes dot splice, right? Start cutting from whatever index I'm giving, and only cut one element, and that's all. Just try to understand this thing. Is remove method there? I tried, right? I tried. Is remove there? Let me check. If remove is there, then we don't need anything. Are you sure there is no remove, right? There is no remove. Remove is not for arrays. See, there is no remove. There is no remove function. Splice is working for us. Like, we can also use pop, but we have to define some kind of index. So splice is also working. Remember this. Never try to, like, mug up anything. Always try to create your solution. So I forgot the function. I created it. I tried to understand it. You always have to do it. Don't try to mug up your functions. Don't try to rectify it. Always try to create your own solutions, right? So what Splice is doing, Splice has two parameters. The first, from which index you want to cut, and from that index, how many elements you want to cut. So I know I want to delete only one element at one time. So whatever index I'm passing, so if I'm passing first index, so from first index, cut one. From second index, cut one. So it will always, Shishe Desmukh, I'll create a website. Please don't spam the chat. Please let me see all the doubts. Please, I will create like a simple website. Don't worry about it. Please let me read the chats of other people. Don't spam the chat, please. Fine. So is Splice understood to everyone? Is Splice understood? Splice is a function where you specify the index from where you want to cut and how many elements you want to cut. So I always want to cut only one element. Because I'm pressing delete, I only want to cut one element. Is it clear to everyone? So now what will happen? I'll just show you what will happen. If I press delete here, just try to understand. This element is at 0th index, right? The first Thor element is at 0 index. So if I press delete there, 0th index, so the index that will be passed it will be 0. So superheroes.ply start from 0 and cut only one element. So it will cut only Thor. If I press delete here, the index of Captain America is 2. So the index will go 2 and cut only one element. That basically means cut Captain America element from the array. Is that clear? Now, again, I have to call my display function. So once it is spliced, only two elements will be left inside superheroes array. Splice basically what it does, it removes the element. Splice cuts the element and leaves only the elements that are left after cutting. So if superheroes has 3 elements, and if I have spliced something, only the left elements will be there in superheroes. So I can pass that array again to display it again. But now I have to call this function on my button, right? I have to call this function on my button. So I have to go on my display function. And on this button, I have to write on click. Call this function, right? Call this function. I have to pass index. And as I know, my serial number, my serial number is going from 1. So now I need my index, but I don't want to show you the index today. Okay, let's see. So there's one more parameter in your for each function, that is index, in which you can get the index of the current element, whatever. So the current element is stored on the first parameter and the index of the element is stored on the second parameter. I didn't want to show you today, but that's fine. It was needed. So I can pass that index here. And that's okay. That is a variable actually. So I have to write $s and then index. Is this clear to everyone? Remember, for each function has two parameters. The first one is element and the second one is index of the element. So you can access the element from here that we have done, and you can access the index from here. That's all. I have passed. So on click of this button, I'm calling delete superhero function and I'm passing the index variable inside it. Is this clear to everyone? So what will happen? This delete superhero will be called, right? And here it will get that index, splice that thing from superheroes array, and this. Because we are starting our serial number from 1, right? So I have to write 1 minus 0. I have to write 1 because we are starting our serial number from 1, right? We're not, an array starts from 0. That's why we're using the actual indexes. And let's try. Delete Iron Man. Can you see? Delete Thor. After refresh, it will come again. But just for now, it is working. See, delete, delete. And now we can just go on and to remove that serial number 2. Let's just go. Let's go and display function. Let's make it. Let's clear one more variable. Remove this. Index start from 0. I know that, right? I'm going to use index here. And if I use index here, we'll see it starts from 0. But I want it 1, 2, 3, right? So I can just write index plus 1. And that's all. Solve my problem. See? Is this clear? Is delete functionality clear to everyone? I'll show you the function actually. Is delete functionality clear to everyone? That's simple, right? When we press delete, we just pass the element's current index. We pass it, we splice it, and whatever is left in the array, we display it. And remember this technique of writing display function. Yes, index is a keyword. No, you can write it anything. The second parameter funny is always index. Remember this thing. These two names that I'm giving here, I can write anything. Superhero. Remember, the first parameter is the element, and the second parameter is the index. You can write any name here. I've just write this thing because I don't want to get confused and I want to make my coding standards a little better. That's why I wrote superhero and index and not anything else. You can write anything, not a problem at all. Is it clear to everyone? We cannot make update today because we again have to make a form and then change and all everything. So we'll make update functionality tomorrow. Don't worry about it. We'll make update, and we are also going to learn set interval and set timeout timer functions. So don't worry about it. We have a lot to do tomorrow as well. So we are learning a lot of DOM manipulation tomorrow. And if we get a lot of time, we'll also make a shopping cart system tomorrow. So we'll have two big projects in this. Yes, today we are just finishing it because today we have covered a lot. I don't want you people to get confused in this now. So is everything cleared for today? Yes, we're ending today's session. Put back the gray background. Okay. Let's put back the gray background. The gray background is in high demand right now. Let's put it back again. Is it fine? Funny? Is it good? Let's view it completely. Let's close the console. So this is how it looks like. So I have an addition form and I have a search thing. Tomorrow we are also going to add a button update. So be ready for that. We'll also update. Remember, this is the functionality that works all over the world in all the websites. So if you learn the concept here, you can make it anywhere. Yes, we'll make a simple website in the last session. I have it for you people. So tomorrow we are going to learn timer functions, and we are going to complete this first in the first half an hour, complete all of this, whatever is left here. Then we will also learn in half an hour, like all the timers and everything. And then in the next hour, we'll try to implement all this in a shopping thing again. So you will have idea like how the same thing works in two different scenarios, so that you can understand and you can make this thing work in different scenarios as well. Don't worry. And I'll also show you how to make a permanent storage. Ashish, which DB simple website? With DB, I cannot work with DB right now, Ashish. Sorry for that, because it's only for Java. The session is only for JavaScript. And in the second last lecture, that is the next Saturday, I'll show you all the how async and await work, how promises work, and the fetch API. And in the last lecture, on your demand, I'll create a website. Don't worry about it. I'll create a complete website. So it's basically more of a design. So I'll create a complete website with a lot of JavaScript in it. I'll plan an assignment for you. Don't worry. Yes, you can leave. You can leave. Not a problem. You can leave. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Meet you tomorrow and let's do a lot of things. One line difference between Angular Node and React. Both are, Node is a runtime, JavaScript runtime. Angular is a framework and React is a library, which does a lot of things. That's why it's also known as framework. But React is a JavaScript library for UI interfaces. Angular is a framework, front-end development framework, and Node is basically a JavaScript runtime. That is the difference. One line difference, you can say. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.